What was that?
Perfect. You want to be that guy?
Wow.
Wow. Wow. Wow.
Wow.
Wow.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to DC TV. It is Monday, December 13th, and it is a crazy week. We have a ton to look forward to in the traditional markets, but also the FTX debacle. There's a lot of huge events that are going to be happening, and we're going to tell you all about them. Caroline Ellison not only looks like a rat, but she might actually be one. Yeah. We're going to talk about that today as well. And before we do any of that, though, we have the futures right now. S&P is up around 1/3%. Dow is up around 1/4. NASDAQ's up around 1/3% as well. Looking at WTI crude, that is up $71.56 per barrel, which is actually cheaper. It's crazy to think that just a year ago, it was sitting at around $130 a barrel. But looking at Bitcoin as well, that is in the red. It had a very volatile weekend, and I want to talk about that, Jaime, because right now it's sitting down around 164 points, but we saw some interesting spikes over the weekend.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And if you look at the macros, that's why I back up. When you zoom in, it looks like violent up and downs that occurred. And I sound echoey, don't I? My
just
apologies.
A little bit. Just a little bit. No big
You
deal.
sound good. Keep doing what you do.
Yeah.
Okay. But you can see on the macro level that we are pretty much, Bitcoin's trying to define itself on where to go. And I have a feeling tomorrow and the next few days, the remainder of December, it will define, do we continue down to the base where we're expecting that floor?
Yeah.
Or do we move up if there's good clarity on this whole fiasco we're about to discuss coming? So you can see a lot of people when you zoom into Bitcoin, it's almost like placing bets. Like, okay, here's what the week's going to look like. And there's with the Fed information. I think there's an emergency. Is there a meeting?
There's an emergency Fed meeting. Yes, correct. So that'll take place, I believe, on Wednesday. But we also have CPI numbers that'll be coming in on Tuesday. The expectation is that there was a slowing of acceleration in inflation, about 0.3%. But we saw PPI numbers last week, and it kind of gave us a little bit of a different picture. So I'm curious to see how CPI ends up looking. If CPI comes in higher than expected, then yes, I think that we're going to see a little bit more of a flush out of Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies in general as they kind of coincide with what tech's been doing. And every time we see higher inflation numbers, that is when you'll start to see tech really kind of pull back, and Bitcoin's been following that, not to a T, but pretty closely.
Pretty close. And that's why I brought this screen up now, is because in the big scheme of things, we are in this green box where it says we are here.
Yeah.
So guys, if we're looking at the macro, not worrying about the small waves, but looking at the tide is now the time to start getting in there, putting money funds that only you do not need. These are long-term. This is not financial advice, but we are in the right time to start entering in the grand scheme of things.
Right. Yeah. I mean, just because it's gotten to this point doesn't mean that it can't go lower. And We've talked about, 13,800 kind of being that area that perhaps we might see the magic sweet spot, whatever you want to call it. But it doesn't mean they can't go below that, or can't go higher from here. It's just kind of a wait and see. But the tea leaves are starting to align, and I'm kind of with you, Jaime. It seems as if just from the macro perspective, some of the numbers that we're seeing, that the end is not. It's not over. The struggle isn't over yet. So good stuff there. But we have, again, as I'd mentioned, guys, we have a ton of things to discuss this morning. A lot of it revolving around the FTX and Sam Bankman-Fried, but welcome everybody else. What's going on, Tamp? At Coach Tamp, go check her out at The Real Data Lord. And of course, at the Decentralizado is Jaime Garzaro. And I am Brad, your host at Own the Chaos. So go check us out on our socials. We'd love to have you guys hang out there. More importantly, go check out our Discord. The link is in the description. That's also free. You can go continue any of the conversations that we have there today. We'd love to have you guys as a part of the community. But Tamp, Brandon, what's up?
What's going on?
I'm over here living the dream.
Oh, yeah.
What I love about this, guys, if you guys don't know, I'm in Central America, Guatemala. Brandon is in Colorado. Tamp is in this way. in the screen. There you go.
There you
Cam
go.
is in Texas, and you're in North Carolina. So
Yeah.
I love technology, guys. It's what a encourage you on
It's
this
like
crazy-
we're actually decentralized physics.
absolutely.
Wow.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. So, listen, I have the WTF news of the day. It's not in the U.S. It's not. We're not going to call out. It's actually in Bangkok. It's very weird, and it's this. What would you if I had to just first glance? What would you say this is?
I'd say it's probably the streets of LA. That's where transients are living.
I just said it was in Bangkok.
Yeah, it looks like fill dirt. But there's a
It-
person in the middle, so people living in these holes, aren't they?
No, it's actually
Yeah.
not a person. They're dogs.
Well, really?
Yeah.
This
Yeah.
is an anthill for dogs.
Yeah, it's
Pretty-
crazy.
Pretty much. So it's a sand. It's a big giant pile of sand. It's
The
stray
dogs are getting buried in sand.
Yeah.
No, they're digging. They're making their
They're-
homes.
Yeah,
you
but
know?
it's sand, dude. It collapses.
Stray dogs in Thailand have turned leftover sand into their unique homes for shelter. And a mound of sand sits out of a temple in a province of Thailand left over from a land project. And the stray dogs in the area decided to make the mound of sand their home by digging doggy condominiums out of the dirt.
Whoa.
Apparently, a lot of the neighborhood residents are just feeding the dogs and they just chill out in there. It says they even dug holes to make their places to rest when it rains. Each individual dog has its own burrow, and the dogs sleep, stay dry from the rain, and watch over the pets of the land. It's crazy.
Damn.
Sponsored by the World Economic Forum, and this is how they want you to live next.
I know. It's the Sarah McLachlan. Cue the music.
Oh yeah,
In the arms of the angel.
Dude, it works.
it works.
Those,
It
those
really
commercials
does.
are rough.
Every time that commercial, I'm just like changing it. Nope, not watching this anymore.
You feel so guilty at the
Oh,
end
yeah.
of it, you know?
Yeah, there are roughly 300,000 stray dogs in the city of Bangkok, according to reports, many of them congregating around Buddhist temples in search of food from monks. Some of the monks that were actually near this temple just said they couldn't stop laughing at it because it looks like a doggy condominium. They still
it
look
does.
sad. They still look. I mean, some of the dogs look like they're just chilling, but some of the other ones just look like they're just sad. They just need humans.
Those ones look related, which means people aren't spaying and neutering their pets.
Exactly.
Oh yeah. Well, it's Thailand. Of course they're not.
Well, no, my only point is 1 equals 40, right?
Yeah. And
Yeah.
you can already see it like, hey babe, how are you? You know, just go over to the other condo.
Yeah, exactly. So, it'd be so crazy to see something like this in the U.S.
Yeah. Well, there's got to be Lord of the Flies situations going on.
I already
in
said
there also.
LA, dude.
Yeah.
The hills
It's
have
just
eyes.
human feces people live in. It's
Oh Jesus Christ!
Codebug's asking, are we pumping Doge right now with this what the fuck moment? You know?
Yes, absolutely.
no, just FTT token.
Yeah. Solana. All right, so that's your WTF news of the day, guys. Again, if you wouldn't mind clicking that like button, we certainly would appreciate it. Hit that subscribe if you're visiting for the first time. Welcome if you are. Welcome back if you're coming back. And go check out our Discord. The link again is in that description. We'd love to have you guys there. It's free to hang out in our community and just chat away. We're going to be talking about all things related to FTX, especially tomorrow. We're going to be going live at 10 a.m., maybe even a little bit before, to cover the hearings that'll be taking place between the Financial Committee and Congress. Sam Bankman-Fried has agreed. We'll see if he shows up or not. I think he probably will at this point. But remotely has agreed to attend this committee meeting. So just getting our reactions and our insights on what's being said. If you guys want to be a part of that stream, make sure you're tuning in, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell to get notified when we go live for that tomorrow. It's going to be a long, drawn-out marathon, but I think it'll be worth it.
This is what it'll be. Well, I'm still learning.
Yeah.
Repeat question. Okay. I don't know. There was a
Yeah.
lot going on.
Yeah.
Hi guys. Hi.
Yeah.
Tweet W.
Yeah.
Bro.
That's what's gonna be happening.
And
When I
then
play
some
League
of
of
the
Legends, I like to play top.
Mhm.
You guys can play jungle if you want to.
And then some of the people in Congress, it's okay. It's
Yeah,
all right.
it's okay, baby. It's
Yeah.
okay.
You were taken down.
Yeah, Block will be there taking
Yeah.
care. Block will be in charge of all media.
Come give mommy Hillary Clinton a kiss. Come on.
Jesus
She'll take
Christ.
care of
Bro,
you.
you don't have to cross those lines, man.
Yeah.
No,
God
his actual mom is like in her friends group.
Yeah. Yeah.
He
Thanks,
grew up
Stanford.
in Hillary Clinton as an auntie, kind of.
Damn.
So
See?
now you know.
And then you see relationships on the SEC side. You
just-
see relationships. It's like,
But it's almost Christmas time. What do you think Hillary's gonna get him? That's my question.
bro.
Oh,
We'll save that for Friday.
yeah.
And this is the group pushing legislation. That's what concerns me. And that's why I see Bitcoin where it is. It's like waiting to see what shit show is going to bring us, you know?
Yeah.
Oof.
It's going to be rough.
Yeah.
And
It's got to get to 13.8 somehow, you know? And we knew it had to get there. Just how? Well, SBF exploded. And now we just need one more touche, turn the knife, and then drop to the levels we were looking for. It's sad it has to be this way then.
yes,
So-
agreed.
Your mother was a hamster, and your father smells like elderberries. Right? It's from Princess Bride. Come on, it was real.
Yes.
Means your mom's a whore and your dad is a drunk. That's what that means.
Inconceivable.
Oh, dude. That's right. You keep using that word. I don't think you know.
I don't think it means what you think it means. Oh my God, that's like one of my favorite all-time movies. Guys, put us in the chat. What is one of your favorite all-time like childhood movies? That was like one of my favorite childhood movies. Not for Jaime, he was an adult, but
I see what you did there. You-
I know, I'm just fucking with you. All right, so let's get into some of the SBF stuff. So, as the title said, Caroline Ellison could very well be flipping. She's been seen in New York around FBI offices, and she's lawyering up and getting some people around her that could indicate that perhaps we're seeing her flip or rat on Sam Bankman-Fried. Here's a photo of her in near FBI offices in New York. This is West Broad, Soho, Manhattan. This would mean she's not in Hong Kong, as we thought that she might be evading to. But it's worth taking a closer look at. CoinGeek says there's no honor among thieves, and this may be an overused adage, but if it is, it's only because it holds true, and the FTX scandal is proving to be no exception. Caroline Ellison, if you guys don't know who she is, she's a 28-year-old CEO of Alameda Research, and Sam Bankman-Fried's supposed romantic partner was spotted in New York City a few days ago at a coffee house blocks away from the FBI offices. First initial thoughts on this, guys?
It's not a flip. It's not a rat. She's just going to say the truth. If SBF is lying the whole time, I don't know. I need to learn. I'm not sure. It wasn't us. It was Alameda. If he's lying, if he's the fraud, then she's just going to let everybody know he really does know exactly what he's doing. It's none of this ho-hum, IDK, I don't know, blah, blah, blah. All that's going to go out the window. Is it really a rat, or is she just going to tell the truth?
Yeah.
Well,
and the fact that she's there in New York, like,
Oh yeah, she's hired
In
a
the open.
boutique law firm. We talked about it the other day. I forget the name of it. It's two last names put together as one, but it's no joke.
right.
No joke. This law firm that she has.
And the fact that she's already been transparent that she didn't know how to trade. Trades went under.
Stops.
And-
Why would I use stops? Stops
Well,
don't make a whole
so-
lot of sense.
So being a rat doesn't mean that you're not telling the truth. It actually means that you are telling the truth. You're just snitching on your cohorts, which is what she's doing.
Yeah,
to
turncoating
save
herself
her
to
own
them.
skin. To save her own skin.
Right.
You think it's that? I think it's even further coordinated than that. Like I would be guessing if like, and this is a tinfoil hat thing, but like, I would imagine that this was kind of discussed. Like, hey, here's how this is going to go down. He's going to be the fall guy. We're going to make him look like he's really trying. We'll throw him under the bus, and then as long as he's still got breath in his lungs, we'll figure out a way to put him in witness protection or something. I would imagine something like that would happen. So.
Yeah, and by the way, SGG 717003. No, she ain't innocent.
Hell no.
No.
No, not by a long shot.
Absolutely not. This girl a shit ton of funds went from FTX to the company she was CEO of, which is the Alameda Research. So there is no innocence here, and it's
No.
gone from there too. So no.
If you love her, let her go, and she'll come back to you. She's yours.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
we'll be clear. Like I had zero exposure to FTX, absolutely
Right.
zero, and I am furious at every single person involved in this. Everything they've done for crypto in general, purporting themselves as being part of crypto when they're not. Like these people are absolute scum of the earth, and they use some of
Absolutely.
our like most beloved like athletes and actors and stuff to build themselves up. They're
Yeah.
completely full of shit. There's not an innocent one in the bunch. They can all rot in hell for all I care.
Yes.
They suck. And I had absolutely nothing to do this. And as far as that goes too, it can extend all the way to their families too. Go ahead, sterilize them all, get rid of them all, fuck them and their mother. I mean, and I had zero exposure to this.
Yeah.
So
And it's,
no such
Leave the
thing as
mommies out
innocence
of
here.
this.
No, they can rot too. Everybody.
yeah, the
Everybody
fruit
can.
never falls too far from the trees, guys. So they learn all this from somebody. So it's yeah. And the fact that if you notice, it's all about this juicy shit that SBF, that Caroline, that but they're not. No one is actually pushing for how do you make all these families whole. I mean, there were ads actually pushing, and even Kevin O'Leary got $15 million to be the spokesperson. There's so much that of people that were just dragged into and you can imagine this is an industry, we've been in it for a little while, so we understand it. And this is not surprising. There's been worse implosions in the past with Mt. Gox, but the fact that, and we've been looking for adoption. We've even spoken on this channel about legal infrastructure framework. So this can all legislation. That's the term I was looking for. My apologies. Legislation. That's what we're looking for. So there is a better adoption. Now you have a player like FTX putting Super Bowl ads or putting these ads like only the bold or, bringing adoption in and then now imploding it. And a lot of people trying to hedge or invest towards the future are not completely out because of these douchebags that this was outright financial fraud in the crypto industry, using it as the industry to scam. Like Enron was energy. These guys used the crypto as the excuse, and pretty much bringing it down it's almost like the whole plan has been the entire time, cripple the damn industry, cash it out, and put legislation that will stop the industry.
Yep.
Because crypto to a certain degree is all about decentralization.
Yeah.
Governments and everyone in power, banks, it's all about centralization. Now you better tell me where your $600 went, but never mind the 8 billion that disappeared, So
To me, you look at Caroline Ellison, and she is seriously a fucked up person. Like, there's some really crazy things that, like, we obviously Sam Bankman-Fried is the highlight of all this because he's been the face of it all. But when you look at Caroline Ellison, it just blows my mind. There's just no way. There's just no way that these two people is what everybody fell for. Like, without someone else higher in power, just placing these two individuals as puppets, whatever the fuck agenda, whomever the Illuminati, some bullshit is doing, because
Deep state.
because her Tumblr that is now deleted had all kinds of crazy shit on it, apparently, allegedly, and I still haven't found any of these deleted posts. So if you guys are out there, the internet sleuths of DCTV, if you could find those and share those with me, I certainly would appreciate it.
wire fraud was a term that she spoke of.
Yes. So years of long pattern racketeering and conspiracy included in the suit, in a reference to a 2018 Tumblr post, which she appears to have joked about wire fraud that applies to a range of serious financial crimes. And she said there, quote, "How do I signal my genuinely sweet and feminine nature on my dating profile?" She wrote, asking whether it should go before or after section on wire fraud. And that was in 2018. Not only that, but she's also been linked to polyamory and masochism and like all kinds of crazy Chinese related stuff, harem, Chinese harem, that's what it was. And so like just like some weird shit. And I'm just like, how is somebody like this, the CEO of a multi-billion-dollar company, it just blows my mind. It just blows my mind. And to me, it's like there's no way that she got that position without somebody that was way smarter than both of them and had a lot more power than both of them. And they did it to hide something else.
Yeah, they orchestrated the perfect scam, because you're right. It's just them two. They have nothing, but they bought out media. That's the number one. They literally bought out Block, and Block said everything great about them. They bought out celebrities that we know and trust, quote unquote. So if Matt Damon and Tom Brady and Steph Curry and everybody else is doing it, then it's got to be legit. Their names are on arenas, so they have to be legit. You have people in Congress rubbing elbows with SBF because of all the donations, all the user funds that should have been going toward buying cryptocurrency were in fact going over to the party in power. So it's got to be real. It's got to be true. You know, that's how. It's not just these two Harry Potter idiots that are the main, you know, the main characters in all this, but that's why people have conspiracy theories, whether you want to call it QAnon, deep state, CIA, FBI, whatever you want to call it. That's what starts this kind of stuff. And now there's stuff coming out that they were the ones who knocked over the first domino, which was Luna Terra. And if they truly initiated the first domino that, you know, went through the likes of 3AC, Voyager, Shaking Genesis, took down it. They're so dumb. They took down their own stupid exchange, not realizing the dominoes they played. I mean, there's a lot going on here. And I was the one who always said, I didn't think FTX was behind the Terra Luna collapse because they didn't make any money off of it. Like you would think if they took down a $40+ billion company, at least make 15 to 20% off of that, at least. Yeah. These idiots made none of it. They made nothing off of it. And they're just in there trying to destroy the entire market. But the problem is even if they are successful, let's say these suckers are successful and they bring down DeFi, right? They completely destroy DeFi. Bitch, you didn't do shit about Bitcoin. Bitcoin is unfazed. Bitcoin's on the sideline like y'all are dumb as hell.
Yeah.
And understandably, right? Because this is all a big experiment. But that's the thing. Like it's too far gone. That's why you have to get yourself some Bitcoin. Its taproot is so deep. Like honestly, anything other than a worldwide blackout is not going to take down Bitcoin. And even then it's going to go analog. It'll be real slow, but it'll still survive.
Absolutely.
It'll still move on. That's why you have to start with Bitcoin. You have to understand Bitcoin. You have to do all that before you get into DeFi, because DeFi is the next great thing. But my goodness, it's not without its landmines right now, especially in a bear market.
Let's tap into that a little bit. So for our viewers who maybe don't know what the term DeFi actually means, can we break that down a little bit, like the difference between DeFi and actually owning Bitcoin?
Sure. So DeFi just stands for decentralized finance. And honestly, all it is in a lot of ways, for all intents and purposes, it is traditional finance as you know it, tokenized and put into the crypto world right now. Now, why would we want to do that? There's a couple different theories, and these are not going to be exhaustive. But in DeFi, in order to have financial accruing devices, so to speak, that we know and we understand, derivatives, trading, margin calls, shorts, longs, all these things where we can make money, you basically replicate it in the crypto world because anybody can play in that world. You don't have to hold a license saying I work for TD Ameritrade. You don't have to be an accredited investor like you do to play in the traditional stock markets. The crypto markets are open 24/7, 365, and they basically have no rules. So you can make money in the traditional way in DeFi, but that doesn't mean it solved anything. It's just a bigger playground with less rules, right? But there's people behind this that are trying to take away the centralized entities to make the playing field more level in terms of getting rid of the centralized parts of it. But DeFi is not completely decentralized yet. We're on the way. But along this long chain, there's going to be one centralized link, which makes the whole thing centralized, right? Even if you have 100 decentralized links, you get to the one link that is centralized, the whole chain centralized. And that's where we are. And all these collapses or rug pulls or scams or whatever, they all get us one step closer to eventually being completely decentralized and truly just interacting in a financial world that is truly fair and accessible to all without these centralized landmines. But we're not there yet. Bitcoin, on the other hand, is just very, very different. It's proof of work. It is so good at what it does, which is securing your wealth, that you can't have everything. Like in Street Fighter, you can't have the strongest and the fastest character. You usually pick one that you're better with, and you either are really fast but don't inflict a lot of pain, or you're really slow and you inflict a ton of pain, right? Like that. Bitcoin is like the monster with the red hair in Street Fighter. Like when he hits you, he will kill you, he will jump on you, bite your head, but he's super, super slow, right?
I fucking love that.
Bitcoin. Yeah, that's Bitcoin, and it does a great job. But there's people trying to fix the weaknesses of Bitcoin, or not fix them as much as just build on top of them. That leads to DeFi, and there's a ton of potential there, but we're just not all the way there yet. So when we have a collapse, every single time when we have a collapse is because of a centralized link in the chain. So that's a whole bunch of stuff I said just to try to hopefully connect the dots for somebody.
That Street Fighter analogy was like the best analogy I've ever heard in my entire life.
Beautiful.
It's true though.
Yeah.
And the goal of
chomp 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 chomp.
Yeah, like the spins. God, what was his name? He was badass.
Blanca. Dude, I'm a sweaty Street Fighter player. It's Blanca.
Yeah. That's why I always played.
I'm clipping the shit out of that.
Yeah.
and what you said, Tam, is critical. So for anyone who's not to understand DeFi, the ultimate goal is decentralization, and where code is law. So you set up a mechanism to where now you don't rely or depend on either a government or a bank or someone in power, centralized power, that can confiscate, but you depend on code as law, where you can actually transact with someone else or take a loan. And as long as you comply with the smart contract or the rules of the game, you're fine. There's no one interfering with this. So the problem with centralization is the following. Like Tam clearly stated, one fault, the whole thing goes down. Like as we're discovering now, that if SBF was involved with the initial Luna collapse in the previous project, which rumors are already coming out, they're trying to find the evidence to do it, then that means the game plan was always bring down this giant experiment, global experiment of becoming self-sovereign individuals with their own store of values, where I can transact with someone that I trust, like Tam or Brandon or Brad, and screw any middle person or the escrow. Escrow is great, but when that escrow becomes a corrupt escrow, that's where the problem triggers. So how do you know if there's a project that's centralized? If it has a CEO. If there's a CEO involved, trust me, that sucker is centralized. So that's your first ingredient to know if it's decentralized or centralized. But yes, the path can't be stopped. And to answer, there were a couple comments like a solar flare can take down Bitcoin. This would be very true back when the internet was over copper, but we have over fiber. And the central offices, a lot of them are bunkers themselves for solar flares for that very reason. And there's been a lot of hardening going on the telecommunications and power world that not everyone is aware of. So if it does go down, and let's say 90% of the planet goes down because of a solar flare, for one, the solar flare is going to affect only the side that's facing the sun when the event occurs. So the backside of the earth is pretty much safe on that. So the Bitcoin mining will continue, and the validation of the blocks are occurring on that side. And there's also communication. The internet will stay up because it's over fiber in the more advanced areas. So fiber solar flares does not affect it. And the points of connection, which are the central offices or some of the data centers, they're also solar flare hardened. So trust me, Bitcoin can continue and has continued. Bitcoin's just waiting for the whole world to be like, get your shit together. Make a decision, guys.
Yeah.
Am I going to come back up, come back down? What the fuck are you doing with the technology that was born from me? You know,
Plus all the satellite infrastructure. I mean, there's a bunch of Bitcoin satellite infrastructure. Some people are privately hosting their own satellite dishes, so that it's not dependent upon the traditional internet mesh. It runs on its own network of satellites as well.
And the satellites are behind the Earth. When that solar flare comes through, those will remain up.
Yeah. And
there's-
people do it on microwaves as well, like radio waves and microwaves. Completely analog, they run Bitcoin. It's just super slow.
Absolutely. So I think we're pretty good, guys. We just
Yeah,
gotta
we're
decide
good.
what the fuck is going on, you know?
Yeah.
Do not underestimate the strength of this turtle shell. Bitcoin will just keep doing its thing.
And that's like honestly the silver lining in all this, because there's a lot of just complete BS that even somebody not in crypto can see. Like, golly, you know, they don't have to know crypto to understand. Okay, it's kind of like stocks. Okay, you have these tokens and it's digital money, and I don't know which one to pick. But this guy screwed everybody, and he's like Bernie Madoff. Like, you can know nothing about crypto and at least halfway figure it out. But the silver lining in this is, do not forget that Bitcoin is unfazed by this. I understand the price action right now is down as we're in a bear market, but the network, the effects, the purpose, Bitcoin is still your superstar right there, completely unfazed. So just if there's any sort of silver lining or hardening of Bitcoin, this is a really, really good example of that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, price action is only public sentiment. It has nothing to do with the actual technology itself. And keep in mind that the majority of the public barely understands technology at all. And so they would have no idea whether it's good or bad. That's why, like, you know, that's how so many people got pulled into the FTT, for example, right? Like, both of them say blockchain, they sound similar, you know, like if I taste them, they both taste like computer chips. Quit licking computer chips. But, you know, like, that has nothing to do with the, you know, strength of the actual system itself. Like, Bitcoin's properly rigid. It is not like the others. And the others are awesome in the fact that they're experimenting with the technology that Bitcoin introduced. But I think it's important at the end of the day to recognize that Bitcoin has been here for a long time. It has a first mover's advantage, and it has the highest hash rate advantage. And that does make it a unique class of its own. The rest of the things are worth experimenting with, but please do not see them as being the same thing. They are experiments. You should, if you're interested in the space, be experimenting with the different technologies. But just please recognize that they're for different purposes.
And don't forget too, like, not all of DeFi was affected by FTX. You know, there are tons of projects out there that are specifically focused on being decentralized all the way across. They see the chessboard. They understand where the weak spots are, and they've been working on solution for said weak spots. Those projects that have been working in that space, those are also unaffected by the FTX and all the other collapses as well, outside again of just price action, and we're just in a builder's bear market. But there are projects out there that are just absolutely throttling still and thriving, and there's so much good coming, right? I mean, like, as soon as we turn and we figure this out and the last domino has fallen in this just winter that we're in, once we're done, there's so much good that will just continue on. Again, all of cryptocurrency and Bitcoin is technology that is going to keep building and building and building. It cannot be uninvented. There are people who believe in these systems so much and the sovereignty that it brings their lives in real time that they're not going to stop working. They're not going to stop building. We will have, you know, our heyday again where we're sitting here like, holy cow, Bitcoin just crossed over a new all-time high. It's sitting at 72,000. Like, those days are not that far away. They're not, but you just have to weather these storms. And there's a lot of good coming out of this fight. It is absolutely worth staying in. You just have to curse those that are bad, get rid of them. The government's probably not going to do anything. The government's going to come in and try to overregulate. That will be the next big thing that we have to deal with, is like, oh, well, now the US is banned from all these different, you know, if you have a US URL, you can't get into DeFi. You can't get in here. You can't get it. You have to, you know, you're going to have to do things like use a VPN or just, you know, maybe expose yourself a little bit to doing something that's not exactly kosher. But that's going to be the next big thing is the US is going to try to lock it down by regulating, and they will soon figure out, just like China did And just like everywhere else did, once you try to just regulate crypto, it just goes behind dark doors and alleyways and everything else. It moves on. People find ways to get around it. They find loopholes, and eventually you'll just, throw your hands up at it because you can't stop it. You just can't.
Absolutely. I grew up here. I was actually born here in Guatemala. And to your point specifically, Tam, the world finds a way through these situations. Like in Latin America, when there was, of course, the dollar dominates, but the banks were, and there was so much corruption going on. They actually had the black market for the dollar. So you find ways. Or how do you think Venezuela, all these countries that have hyperinflation, how the hell are they even surviving and feeding? And that humanity finds a way. And
Yep.
I believe the timing of Bitcoin's appearance in the global game and community is not by chance. And for anyone who thinks Bitcoin's going to hell just because of what they're seeing and hearing on the news, I can tell you, all of us here in this stream, we're building in the shade at this moment, and we're seeing huge investors coming into the game right now, into Bitcoin, and trying to become the portal of exchange to the general market, and them being the middlemen to, of course, charge their fees. Oh, you want Bitcoin? Here you go. You want to buy Bitcoin, sell Bitcoin, let me take my cut. And trying to close off anything that's peer-to-peer, which is the actual intention and reason Bitcoin was created, is to skip all those middlemen.
Right.
But you can see this game arranging, but we, the builders, understand that Bitcoin will find its way. The correct way of interacting between human to human, family to family, country to country will be Bitcoin, to where there is no middle person trying to take your energy away from your transactions.
Right.
So trust me, we're good. We're good.
No doubt.
Yeah, absolutely. This is a fantastic discussion. Didn't see it actually going this way, but I'm so glad it did. And I'm glad that I asked the DeFi question that lent itself to so many other things. Guys, if you want to continue to have this conversation and want to learn more about DeFi versus Bitcoin and why one's preferable over the other, or how they can both work together, go check us out in our Discord. The link is in the description below. And then also make sure you're hitting subscribe, hit that like button if you're enjoying the stream so far, and then make sure you're also hitting that notification bell, as we will be going live tomorrow during these hearings that SBF is supposed to attend. So if you guys didn't catch that news, tomorrow at 10 a.m. Eastern time, Congress is going to be hosting a hearing about FTX in particular, but also just the industry in and of itself, and what needs to be done about this, so something like FTX doesn't happen again. Now, whether or not anything gets accomplished remains to be seen, of course, because we've seen this so many times with big tech. The hearings that they would have with them, it's a lot of shouting, and then nothing actually ever happens. And so that's kind of what I wanted to talk about next. Is there actually going to be anything that comes out of this hearing tomorrow? Is there something that you're looking for in particular, guys, on what you want to be said, what you want to be asked, or at least hope that gets asked in this hearing? So if you guys didn't know, for those of you watching, Sam Bankman-Fried did agree to testify before the House Financial Services Committee tomorrow. And Sam Bankman-Fried is also sparred with Binance founder Changpeng, or CZ, telling him that he'd won, which everybody now knows is public knowledge. For me, that's what I want to know. Like, is somebody going to actually step up and ask some of the hard questions that have yet to have really been asked about Sam Bankman-Fried? Like, what does that even mean that he had won? And what kind of questions can be framed so that Sam Bankman-Fried just can't weasel his way out of it?
They're going to have to be like CoffeeZilla. I don't know if anybody's going to do better than CoffeeZilla at really, really pressing. And then the guy from Good Morning America did a good job too of saying,
Yes.
He asked a question. SBF is going every which way around the question possible.
Stephanopoulos, yeah.
Yeah, and then they just let him act like that was an answer. And I have a feeling that's what's going to be coming tomorrow. Is they'll ask him something that's seemingly a good, tough question, but he ho-hums his way around it, and they never circle back and say, but you didn't answer my question. Yeah. That, I think, is what's going to be missing and infuriating, because they'll be like, oh, thank you, SBF, for your for your answer. We'll let you get all the work in front of you like we know you don't have right now, and then you can come back to us with a properly formed answer. They'll do all that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. I'm afraid they're gonna coddle him.
Yeah.
They're gonna coddle the motherfucker. And I'd rather see like, where's my fucking money, Lebowski? Where's my money? And just go after him. Like those billions of dollars went somewhere.
Yes.
Like they're somewhere. Where is it?
Jamie Dimon's like,
yeah. So it's just
that's the hard part though, Jaime, because right now we don't know who is the cowboy riding off into the sunset with the real thick saddlebags.
Right.
Yeah.
We don't know. That right there is, in my opinion, what is going to make SBF. It's the hardest part of really nailing him down into fraud. Right? Like we can say a whole lot of things, but he could ho-hum his way around it. And at best, the majority of what he actually admits to will be penalty level fines. That's what it will be. It will not be jail time offenses. And without a body, right? Without the smoking gun, without that cowboy riding off into the sunset, it's hard to nail fraud versus I just didn't know I screwed up and there was a bank run. Right.
But don't you think that the terms of service in that, and one of the questions that CoffeeZilla actually asked was, the terms of service specifically stating that their investor funds would not be used for other things unless it was on margin, so that's kind of what I'm looking for. And to what you had said, Tim, couldn't that be potentially a smoking gun that he knowfully and willingly put that in his terms of service, but then did the exact opposite? So that's the definition of fraud.
Yes, but he's going to go back to claiming that all of his infrastructure that he can see, which I guarantee you was like a custom board of what he could see between himself, Alameda, everything else. Yeah. He couldn't see it. He didn't know what was going on at Alameda. So even though yes, funds were misappropriated and misused, it wasn't intentional. Again, it was a failure of oversight. I should have known, but I didn't. I hate that this happened, but this is all the information I had privy to. I know I'm the CEO and I failed and I would love to get better and get you more answers, but I didn't know, right? All that's failed to oversee, even though, yes, it is fraud. We all know it's fraud, but if he ho-hums it, that's why you need to find the $8 billion. That's why you need to know where that went. Is it in real estate in the Bahamas? Is it with his parents? Is it with the Democratic Party? I don't know. I don't know where it is. Yeah. But until you can find it, it's hard to say that he intentionally frauded. Intentional keyword, right? Like that's what I'm afraid is going to play out.
So you're saying that we need to see him using the funds improperly, no matter. So the use of those funds actually matters rather than them just disappearing.
Well, this
he
is
has
where
plausible
Caroline
deniability.
Yes,
right now.
This is where Caroline comes in. Unless she or somebody else can say he knew exactly where they went, and this is where they went. They went to these trades through Alameda, or they went to these properties, or they went to where the hell ever. Unless we have somebody that's like, I can absolutely pin him knowing where these funds went, and it was here. Unless we have that, it's a bunch of ho-hum IDK. That's all we're going to get. And that's what's frustrating. So I like that Caroline's quiet right now. She's doing what her lawyers are telling her to do, unlike SBF. And hopefully we do have that bombshell where she's like, now let me connect these dots for you. I hope that's coming. I really do.
To save her own ass. Not that, that's it. And
she's like a lousy trader, but she knows what the fuck she's doing. That's for sure.
Yes. She knows how to play the game.
If you do enough amphetamine, stop losses do seem like a bad idea, though.
So that was, what did she say about amphetamines?
She said that non-medicated life is boring compared, and she doesn't know why anyone would want to live it.
That's what it was.
Like,
I love the thunder. I love the thunder sounds comment. Looks like the House of Gryffindor is turning on itself.
Yes.
Yeah. They used the wand on me on the table, a sexual table. And I was like, let's go.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. Yeah.
He's got a more powerful wand he showed me in the pool.
And even if they could just bring John Ray, who was part of the end run, fiasco and debacle and the whole fraud that occurred there. We could bring in people from the latest Ponzi prior to that. That if you look at the
Bernie Madoff.
Yeah, Bernie Madoff, or even the same CEO that says this is a cluster fuck. He had never ever seen anything of this sort, and then you start thinking, how the hell did this fraud raise so much money from smart money? VCs.
That's what we said.
Holy
they paid off all the right people to say they were legit. That's how they paid off all the right people, because a lot of VCs didn't bite on this because of everything you're talking about. But those that did, it was blind. It was like, oh, crypto's up only. Go throw your money at them. You know, they had one of the 3AC founders. I just watched an interview with him the other day, who said that right before everything collapsed, he was on the phone with some VCs and actually with a bank, and got close to $1 billion. It was like $900 million uncollateralized over a phone call. That's how crypto was before all this. It's up only. You don't have to do due diligence. You just say, hey, I'm a hedge fund in crypto, and they give you whatever you want.
Yeah.
But I mean, this is the reality check we're in right now. This is the shakeout.
And this is just a sign of the rot of government, not just our own, because there's other governments. I mean, Ukraine was involved in all this stuff with money flowing through over there. Like, you see so much rot on the people that are supposed to have fiduciary responsibilities to us.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at tomorrow's hearing as a further sign and confirmation, not that I need any, of if they are able to weasel SBF out of this and Caroline out of this, and leave every single person they had fiduciary responsibility towards, to leave them hanging with no recourse to get their family savings back. Okay, what else is happening to our society under these people?
Yeah.
Because if they're letting this guy skirt free and say whatever they want, plead ignorance, without the Bernie Madoff results, where they fucking squeeze that fucker and try to pull as much back out. It almost seems like they're not going to even make an effort here, and just instead, like, oh, you know what the answer is? Let's over legislate. Make sure we stamp the source of all these problems, which is crypto, and not the outright scam, financial scam that just transpired.
Yeah, this totally has to do with cryptography. That's totally the problem at the root of this. You know, it's cryptography.
Yep.
That's what makes me steal money from people, spend it in ways I wasn't approved for, and then lie about it. It's cryptography, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely. So I wanted to talk a little bit and moving on about the Fed, but I feel like we touched on that in the beginning of the top of the show. If you guys have any questions about that or want to talk more about what's going on with the Fed and how that might actually impact crypto this week, and how we could see we could potentially be in for a volatile week with Bitcoin and cryptocurrency in general, make sure you go check us out at our Discord. That is absolutely free if you guys want to go hang out with us there and continue that conversation. Links are in the description. You also want to be a part of the hearing reactions tomorrow. Make sure you're also subscribing and hitting that notification bell to get notified when we do go live. We'd love to have you guys as a part of that conversation as well. But I wanted to shift gears a little bit. And this isn't necessarily crypto related, but this is more decentralized related. After all, this is decentralized TV. And this is more of the continued conversation of the Elon Musk story. So the Twitter has continually released files of quote suppression of certain materials and censorship of certain topics. One of them that was released over the weekend was the whole suspension of Donald Trump's account. I don't want to go into too many details there, but I'm seeing a lot of people leave the platform, predominantly on the left, just calling it what it is. And I'm trying to understand why. I'm not saying that, I'm not talking about politicians here. I'm just talking about people who are actually left leaning. And my thinking here is like, I haven't seen, and maybe I'm having a little bit of bias here, but I'm not seeing that Elon actually is just straight up attacking the left. He's just exposing certain things that the Democrat Party has done, or not even just the Democratic Party, but like people that were in power in Twitter that were left leaning that just did whatever they wanted to fit their agenda, and it just so happens that they were predominantly Democrats, and so I just wanted to kind of get a little bit of thoughts, because most of us in this conversation are either are pretty much centered. You know, we're sitting on both sides.
Let's get along, guys.
Of things.
Yeah.
And so my thing is like, this is, even as a Republican, if a lot of these things were exposed from the Republican side, I'd be like, thank God some of this was exposed.
same.
You know,
Yeah.
like
Direct nerd. Yeah.
it wouldn't
thank
matter
you.
what side of the aisle I was on. And it's like, that's what being decentralized is all about, you know? And so those are my general thoughts about what's been going on with Twitter. Elon, in my opinion, has been doing a really good job of cleaning it up. And just over the weekend too, he's working on taking care of the bot situation as well. If you guys didn't catch that, he actually put out a tweet yesterday, I believe it was. It said, calling all bots and trolls, please attack me. He said, all the bots are so far unable to swarm the top of my replies, which if you guys haven't checked that out, or didn't know this, but before, Elon would make any tweet about anything and it would be nothing but fucking crypto scams at the very top of the page. So it looks as if he's taking care of that. So he's actually making the platform more palatable, yet you see some of these people of influence, like Elton John put out over the weekend as well, that he was leaving and what have you. It's funny that the Rocket Man actually forced
To the real Rocket Man.
to the real Rocket Man to leave.
It's ironic.
But
It's just weird though. It's like, because when you call a fool out, they have a hard time accepting that. Like for instance, here's your one example that I'll give. Look at libs of TikTok. Okay, just that's going to be my case study, my example. Libs of TikTok, if you're not familiar with it, all it is a Twitter account that retweets very liberal posts. It could be about anything super liberal. Most of the time it ends up being about transgender and drag shows and stuff like that. But all they do is retweet it and say, hey, this is what's happening in this place, advertised as this thing.
They're not modifying the content.
Else. Yeah, they don't modify anything. They don't say anything else. And liberals act like that it is a terrorist organization, when all they are doing is being a mirror just to show you how ridiculous this is. Here's an advertised family-friendly event at an elementary school, and there is space for a drag queen up there damn near half naked showing little kids how to twerk. And it's like, and they don't say anything about it. Like, this is just what it is, retweeted. And it's like, when you look in the mirror and you can't stand it, it's got to be somebody else. It can't be me. It can't be that.
Yeah.
So screw you, libs of TikTok. That's not us. You're misrepresenting. And it's like, how? All I did was retweet.
Right.
So this is again, and this is all alt left, and same thing for the alt right. They do weird shit with QAnon and all that, and you're just like, listen, JFK Jr. is not coming back, guys. Like, and when you retweet that, it's like, yes, he is. It's like, you can't say, listen, this is ridiculous and this is wrong and this is a bad look. You can't say it to either side without them getting, they just can't be told no. So that's who's leaving.
And that's what concerns me about this whole situation, is because Twitter was born as a town square. And that's the way I've always seen it, is, okay, let's all come together as society, not just in America, but globally. Let's come together and let's talk about things. Let's discuss things. Let's find solutions. Let's find paths, or find my community within it. But at least still have the conversations open for everybody else to engage. But like you say, Tamp, when you start squelching, or where you start cutting communication, also like, nah, fuck this, I'm out. All these people I don't agree with. How can we progress as a society if we don't have open conversations? And that's the concerning aspect of this. I don't care what the thought is, but ultimately is that everyone's looking, feed my family, a better future for our kiddos, and let's build together. And if we don't agree on this, well, let's find a middle ground, or let's see what works.
But that's the thing. You're
forward.
being mature about it, Jaime. Like, you show somebody how ridiculous they are, and all they can say is, that's not true. You don't get it. You just don't understand. And they leave.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay.
Well,
So
it-
leave then. I
that
guess. I
worries
don't
me,
know what to
Tim.
in
say.
in architectural retrospect too, like the way scholarship was founded in the first place was you had people of different schools of thought come to a table. They'd have an audience, they'd have a moderator. The moderator would ask questions, both parties would answer from their school of thought, representing their school of thought. Here's how we perceive this, right? And then there would come to a time where they would cross-examine each other just to basically get a firmer understanding of the other person's position and how it holds up against certain questions. And so all of our colleges were started with that practice in the first place. And at this point in time, though, science, as an example, has gone from being a methodology of hypothesis, test, regroup, to an ideology where you're not allowed to question a certain set
Dogma.
of stated facts. And so you've taken something that's supposed to be a dialogue, understanding schools of thought and respecting the other person in true intellectualism and scholarship, and you've moved it into groupthink and into cult of personality and into idealism. And I think that's really the big issue here. We have to really reclaim that. We have to reclaim, like, even if someone holds a position I think is really kind of wild, I still want to deeply understand how they came to have those positions and how they see a lot of these other parts of the world. And maybe they haven't thought of it. Maybe you're going to ask them a question that will actually be something that challenges the very core of their position. But we've gotten into identitarianism, where the ideas people hold become their very identity. And by you even asking a question that chips away at the veracity of their personally held position, you're functionally saying, I don't care about you as a person. Yeah. And that's not what you're saying. What you're saying is, I don't think this idea holds water. And unfortunately, a lot of people have been coddled in certain cultures and certain systems to believe that that's appropriate, but it's not true. Like you can have your entire worldview shattered and still be a person of value, right? Yeah. Like, and I think that, like, our whole culture we're trying to build is exactly that, right? Helping people be more than just the ideas they hold.
Yeah. Elon put up a very good reply to a tweet earlier this weekend as well. It says, people are easy to fool, but it's almost impossible to convince people that they have been fooled, which is which at the bottom line, that's where I think this all stems from. Some of these people that are leaving because they just can't handle the truth.
Yep.
Absolutely.
I really wish I had that sound like, you can't handle the truth.
Crystal.
But guys, let us know your thoughts on all this stuff. And I really try to refrain from just like attacking people individually. So let's try to be constructive with some of our conversations. And that's what I aim to do here. So make sure you guys go check us out on Discord. Again, it's absolutely free when you want to continue that conversation as well. I would love to hear from you guys there. And please make sure that you're tuning in tomorrow. We will be having an impromptu live stream as we react to some of these hearings from the financial committee hearings where SBF is said to attend. So you guys aren't going to want to miss that, but you can't miss out on birthdays either, guys. Today's birthdays are interesting ones. We got Bob Barker. How old do you guys think Bob Barker is?
Damn,
he's still kicking.
Alive.
He's still alive, still kicking. How old is Bob Barker today?
94.
Oh, you're close.
96.
96. Brandon,
That's what
I would lose on his game show. I don't know. All I know is that
Price is Right.
He got punched in the face really, really, really hard.
Price is Wrong, bitch. Bob Barker's 98 today.
Wow.
Oh my
98
God.
years old.
Is he
Price
still
is
kicking?
Wrong, Bobby.
Yeah, he's still kicking. Still
Man.
kicking. Dionne Warwick is 81. That's old people today. Mayim Bialik, if you guys don't know her, she was on The Big Bang Theory. She's also interim Jeopardy host. She's very intelligent. And finally, we have Kasha, who's best known for, she's 55 today. She's best known for Jealous Lovers, Hot Property, Bashful Blonde from Beautiful Bend Over. I had to like run that out. I had to say it like 5 times before I actually figured out how to say. Girls of Double D8, Best of Backdoor to Hollywood. Guys, thanks so much for tuning in. We'll be here live tomorrow for those financial committee hearings, and we can't wait to see you guys. Thanks so much for tuning in. We'll see you tomorrow.
See you there. Keep it real, guys.
Keep calm and hot along, bitches.
Let's go.